Okay, here we go. We're going to be learning tonight for Kuf Ches. This puts us at just under 50 blot left in the Masechta. So we're making tremendous strides in the Masechta, and tonight will be one of them too. The Amud Beis is a perfect rectangle, a little bit larger than usual, but we will make our way through it. And let's get started. We're about 7 lines from the bottom of the page on Kuf Zayin Amud Beis, and the Gemara here enters into a discussion. An interesting discussion about what we're not totally sure because we don't know what the Isser D'Oraisa is that was violated. Says the Gemara 7 lines from the bottom, Kuf Zayin Amud Beis Amar Shmuel Taras Adin. Hasholet Dag Min Hayam, a person who extracts a fish from the sea. Kevan Sheyavesh Bo Kisela. Once the fish dries out in an amount of a sela, it dries out in an amount of a coin, meaning part of it becomes dry. So then chayev, then you're going to be chayev. What are you chayev for? So Rashi here points out that this was already trapped from before Shabbos. That's Rashi Dibur Hamaschil. 3 lines from the bottom, Hashola Dug. Rashi says, Shahaya Nitzod V'Omli Mi Ba'od Yom. It was in a little square or rectangle, an entrapment within the water, and you pulled it from there. And look, 2 Rashis later, Chayev, what are you chayev for? Mishum Netilas Neshama, you're chayev for killing the animal. And listen to this, Desu Lo Chayev, because it won't live any longer. Namely, you're chayev for netilas neshama before the animal dies, because it's basically considered dead. We have this idea found in halacha elsewhere in regards to an animal that's referred to as a treifa. An animal that's referred to as a treifa, we assume has less than 12 months to live, and it's halachically, under certain circumstances, considered to be dead. So that's what Rashi says is going on here, is that you're talking about killing a fish on Shabbos, which yesterday we were discussing the Machlokes Chachamim and Rabbi Eliezer in regards to killing lice, and there we said that Rabbi Eliezer said that he had one shita, the Chachamim had another. Rabbi Eliezer was concerned that they're not par of a rava, that they don't procreate in the way that we are familiar with, so therefore there is no isser. Masha Enken, the Chachamim said that you'd be chayiv, so certainly a fish would be chayiv under the circumstances. Amar Rabbi Yossi bar Avin uvein snapirav. When we say that the animal has to dry out, that the fish has to dry out kesela in that small amount, that's only bein snapirav, between its fins. Presumably on the bottom, it has a right and left fin toward the bottom, kind of equidistant from the center of the fish on the bottom. And those small little fins seemingly is talking about that space. Says the Gemara, Amar Ravashi lo tema yavesh mamish. It doesn't have to actually be bone dry. It just has to be ala afilu de avad riri. Even if as the fish becomes closer to death, it kind of gets a little bit of a stickier consistency, such that when you touch it, it will be this stringy type of sticky. Then that's enough. That's considered the Isser D'Oraisa of Netilas Neshama. Says the Gemara, Amar Mar, another sugya. Amar Mar ben Hamdurim Shmuel Hoshid Yado Lemei Behema V'Dildel Ubar Shebeme'el. Let's say that a person is delivering an animal, and in doing so, in the process of delivering the animal, you sever the umbilical cord from the uterine lining. So there, the din is that you're chayiv. What are you chayiv for? This is crazy. What do you mean? What are you chayiv for? You're chayiv for netilas neshama. You killed the ubar. You killed the fetus. Says the Gemara, not so simple. What does the Gemara say? My taima, Amar Rava bar Hamduri Asberali. It was explained to me. Lav Amar Rav Shesha. Isn't this what Rav Shesha said? What did he say? Haiman de talash kishusa mihizmi vihiki. There are certain types of branches that have growths on them. Their branches are not connected from the ground, but they do get some nourishment from the ground, as the Meforshim here point out. And you pull off, let's say, the berries or whatever is growing on these hizmi vihigi, you pull them off, and then you're mechai mishum oker davar migidulo. This is a language of tolesh, a language of kotzer, of harvesting, not a language of netilas neshama. Hachanami suggests the Gemara, last line of Kuf Zayin and Aleph here too. Mechai mishum oker davar migidulo. Seemingly strange. It's like a wild thing. If someone were to force this ubar to die by cutting off its life source through the umbilical cord on Shabbos, so then they were not chai for netilas neshama. Now, on the one hand, that's not so crazy, because we know that a ben pakua, which is an unborn animal that's inside a cow, we know that a ben pakua doesn't have its own life status, because we know that when you shech the mother, that there's no need to shech the child that's in utero, as we again refer to it as a ben pakua. So if that animal isn't considered to require shchita once the mother requires shchita, so then maybe it doesn't require death. The Rashi and the Ramban here have a major machlokas rishonim. Rashi here takes it at face value that we are in fact talking about the Isser D'Oraisa of Tolesh, but the Ramban says absolutely not. You just aborted an animal by by severing its umbilical cord. That's Natilas Neshama. It's a big machlokas rishonim on this line of the Gemara as to what Rava Bar Hamduri said in the name of Rosh Hashanah. The biggest question against the Ramban is the language of the Gemara. The Gemara says it's Oker Davar Migidulo. That sounds like Tolesh. So the Ramban would have to say, I'm still telling you that it's Natilas Neshama, and this language is a homily. It's conceptual that you're Oker Davar Migidulo, but really it would be Natilas Neshama. Big machlokas rishonim on this line of what the status would be of killing a fetus by severing the umbilical cord. Next sugya. Amar Abaye Haiman de Talash Pitra Me'una de Chatzva. Let's say that there's a fungus growing on the handle of a kli. So the din is that you're chayiv. We know that fungi can grow in many places, even not necessarily on the ground. So if it is pulled from una de chatzva, pulled from the handle of a kli, the halacha is, says the top line, kufches merav mechai mishum oker davar migidulo. There we have the din of tolesh. Asks the Gemara a very, very good question, simple, but on the nose. It says the Gemara as follows, Masi Ravoshia, we know, and we've learned already this din prior, hatolesh me'atzitz nakuv chayiv. If you have a flower pot that has a hole in it, and let's say that the flower pot is sitting 1 foot off the ground, and it's growing tomatoes, and you pull a tomato off of the branch that's inside the flower pot that's hovering 1 foot off the ground, and that flower pot has a hole in the ground in the bottom of the flower pot. That's called an atzitz nakuv. It has a hole in the bottom. We assume that halachically it is tethered and connected to earth, and it's being yonik. That's the language of the Gemara, that it's being yonik, not our Gemara here. It's being yonik. It's drawing from the nourishment of the ground, and therefore you would be chayiv. However, when it's v'she'einu nakuv, if you have a flower pot that has no hole in the bottom, so then we would say it's putter. So how can you tell me that this fungus that's growing on the handle of a pot that's sitting in your kitchen table, there if you scrape it off, you violate the Isser D'Oraisa of Tolesh. But an atzitz she'einu nakuv is exactly that. It's something which is not tethered to the ground, and there we said you're putter. So why by atzitz nakuv would you say eino putter? You would say, why by an atzitz she'einu nakuv would you say pater? There's no hole in the bottom. It's not being yonik from the ground. There we see your pater. The same exact thing should be true by the fungus that's growing in your kitchen. Says the Gemara, the reason why we make a distinction between a fungus and a flower pot that has no hole in the bottom that's otherwise pater is because hasam lav hainu revise, because that's not how things connect to the ground when it's in a flower pot with no hole. You want to connect it to the ground, and it should have a hole in the bottom, or you should plant it in the ground. But hacha, in regards to the fungus, hainu revise, this is how it gets greater. This is how it gets larger. This is how it grows. So basically, Rashi here highlights this. Rashi, Dibur Hamaskal, the third line of Rashi, Dibur Hamaskal, lav hainu revise, great line. Rashi says, "The ain derech zriya sham." That's not the way we plant things in the ground. That's not the way we do things. So therefore, the Gemara makes this distinction. Chaya ve'of, if you were to look back in our Mishnah that we saw in Kuf Zayin Amud Aleph, there the Mishnah spoke about a chaya ve'of, about a chaya, a smaller animal, like a deer, for example, or some type of bird that's in his rishus. So we said hachovel b'hen chayav, that if you damage that animal, that it is going to be treated like a chabur, like an Isser D'Oraisa of a chovel b'hen. You will be chayav. So here the Gemara takes this idea and applies it far and wide. Namely, what about the din of writing tefillin on the skin of a chicken? We've never really thought of such a thing. We spoke earlier in the Masechet about tuchsistos and about the various sides of the various layers of skin of a cow, of a deer, whatever the case may be. We never really spoke about this. Amar Rav Huna, 2 dots, 5 lines down in Kufches Amar Rav Huna, kosrin tefillin al gabe or shel of tahor. One is allowed, in fact, to write a kosher set of tefillin on parchment that is derived from the skin of an of tahor. Whoever would have thought? Amar Rav Yosef, my kamash malon yasher koach, you've taught me nothing new. De islay, or we know that it has skin. Tanina, how do we know that it has skin? Because of our Mishnah. If you flip back one blot to Kuf Zayin Amud Aleph, the Mishnah there says in the very beginning of Perek Shmona Shratzim that when it comes to chayiv va'of, hachobel v'hen chayiv. So hachobel v'hen chayiv, as we learned yesterday by the Shmona Shratzim, implies that there's ore, that there's leather. So therefore, what is the Gemara teaching us? What is it that Rav Huna is teaching us? Asks Rav Yosef. After all, if the Mishnah on Kuf Zayin Amud Aleph says achobel b'hen chayiv, it implies that the chicken has, or that it has leather skin that is halachically speaking leather. And if that's the case, you've taught me nothing. Answers the Gemara. Amar le, Rav Huna would say back to Rav Yosef. Amar le, sorry, that's not correct. Amar le Abaye. Abaye answers Rav Yosef. Tuva kamashmalan. There's a lot to be learned here. The imi mas nisen. If we would have only learned from our Mishnah at the beginning of Perek Shmona Shratzim that achovel behen chayev, what might I have thought? The imi mas nisen haba amina came the ispe nikve lo. That because that when one looks closely at the skin of a chicken, there are holes in it from where the feathers were embedded into the skin. So because there are those kinds of holes, I might have thought that it can't be used for klaf because it's not smooth enough. Says the Gemara, Kamash Malan Kide Amre b'Ma'arava. We learn it. Kamash Malan. What do we learn from the additional statement of Rav Huna that we are allowed to write tefillin on the skin of chickens, of birds in general? Kamash Malan Kide Amre b'Ma'arava, like they say in Eretz Yisrael in the West. The West, of course, is relative to Bavel. Kol nekev shahadio overas alav eno nekev. Any type of hole in the paper that when you're writing with a quill, it doesn't really catch in the hole, you can write over it. So then that's not considered a problem at all. And that is what is learned here, that even types of parchment that have small holes in them are considered acceptable. A very important thing that Rav Huna was teaching us. Masiv Reb Zera. Reb Zera asks a question from Korbanos. In the beginning of Sefer Vayikra, we have a pasuk that says Bichnafav. The pasuk here is speaking about, as Rashi points out in Dibur HaMaskal Bichnafav, Be'olas Of Mishtai. The pasuk here is talking about bringing an Olas Of. What is unique about an Ola? What's unique about an Ola is that the whole entire animal is brought as a korban. However, by the bird, we have something that the Torah adds in with the word bichnafav. What's the drasha? The Gemara says, lahachshir as ha'or, to include the or to be part of the ola. Why is it unique to include the leather of the oaf? Because if you were to look at an olas behema, there the halacha is that you have to be mafshit, you have to skin the animal prior to bringing it as a korban ola. Because if you bring a behemas ola with its skin, it's a psul in the korban. So therefore the skin by an olas behema is excluded. So therefore we needed a pasuk to include the or of a chicken, of the olas ha'of, to make sure that it can be burned together, because otherwise havamina, I might have thought that just like by behemas ov, when the skin is included, when the animal was not skinned, it's a psul in the korban of the olas behema. Havamina, I might have thought the same was true by a chicken. Kamash malan, the Torah says this drasha bichnafav lahachshir asor. V'isal kadaitach orhu, and if you are to assume that it is leather, heichi marba lakra. That's the Gemara is bothered by this question. It's a bit of a strange question. If you're assuming that it's or, I don't understand how can the Torah include it, implying that if it's true, just like I argued the other way, but by behemas, by an olas behema, there we said the or can't be included. So it must be that the chicken is not leather, which is very strange to say, because what it says here in the Gemara is that lahachshir asor. So the question is very difficult to understand. Either way, the Gemara blows it out of the water, no matter what. Amar le'abaye orhu v'rachmana Rabbi. It is considered leather, and the Torah specifically said by the olas ha'of that it should be included. So the question was attempted, and the question failed. Ika de Amre, there are those who teach these last few lines in a different way. One that would not work well for the flow of our Gemara, one that would actually validate the question that we just asked in the name of Reb Zera. And this is what the Ika de Amre says. We're almost 1/3 of the way down on Kufches Amar Aleph. Says the Gemara as follows. Ika de Amre Amar Reb Zera says, Afana nami tanina bichnafav, the Rabbo says, or we have a source in the Tanaim that also includes leather. If in fact we assume that the skin of a chicken is leather, so then we understand why we needed a pasuk to say that it's included in the ola. Because if it's not, if the leather was not otherwise specifically included in the burning of the ola, we would have assumed, just like an olas behema, that the leather of the skin of the behema had to be removed first. And if in fact you brought the korban olas behema with its skin, it would have been a psul. Havamina, the same exact thing. Kamash malon. That's what the Gemara here means. If in fact we treat the chicken's skin to be like leather, then that's exactly why the pasuk was there. But if halacha l'maisa we were to assume that the skin of a chicken is not leather, so then what's the point of the pasuk that says bichnafa? What was the whole point of the drasha? So says the Gemara, Amar le'abaye le'olamei malach lav orhu. I could easily have come up with an answer that really lav orhu, it's not considered to be leather. The itzrich, why does the pasuk say bichnafav? Because salka daitza chamina came in the east. Pirtze, because there are so many holes in it from the feathers ma'is that it's not considered to be a good parchment. Kamash malon, not the case. Okay, so that's how the Gemara approaches this, to say that it is permissible to write on the skin of an oaf in order to write the parshios of tefillin. It does have a similar din of leather. Next sugya. Let's take this question even further. Is it permissible to write tefillin on the skin of a fish? Now, obviously, the scales are not what we're talking about because you can't write them on different pieces and the scales are disconnected. When the fish rolls its body, leans its body one way to the right or one way to the other side, and if the fish is bendable, if the parchment is bendable, the words won't be connected anymore. So obviously, that's not what it means. It means after you've descaled the fish, you've cleaned it off already, and now we're talking about the skin that's underneath. Omar Lay says the Gemara, Yomar. So he says, Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak says back to him, let's wait for Eliyahu Hanavi. Says the Gemara, why are we waiting for Eliyahu Hanavi? Eliyahu Hanavi can't paskin for us, which is something that we're not used to because we say teku all the time, and we often use teku as an acronym for tishbi yataretz kushios uvayos. But here, Rashi is going to throw a major wrench into that. It says the Gemara, Ma'im Yavo Eliyahu Yomar. What does that mean? We have to wait for him. Take a look at Rashi. Rashi is about a quarter of the way down. Dibur Hamaschel Ma'im Yavo Eliyahu Yomar. And Rashi says something drastic that really makes us question every teku we've ever seen. Look at what Rashi says again, a quarter of the way down. Rashi says, Dibur Hamaschel Ma'im Yavo Eliyahu Yomar, Heter ve'Isser, Ein Talui Bo. The lo bashamayim. The Torah is lo bashamayim. We've seen elsewhere that even if someone says, we got a baskol, so what? It's great that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is intervening with our lives, and Yirtzeh Hashem, we should do it more, but we don't paskin from Shamayim. We paskin here down on earth. So what the Gemara is asking, according to Rashi, is what is this whole thing about? Well, I'm not sure about if we can write tefillin on the skin of a fish. That's not a good answer. That's not a good answer. Torah lo bashamayim. The Torah was made for us. The Torah is not made. That's like the famous story in the Gemara that we will be seeing, that Moshe Rabbeinu was given the opportunity to go many generations into the future, to sit in the shir of Rabbi Akiva. He didn't understand anything. He didn't understand anything. Why not? Because the Torah is ours, and we're able to, within the guidelines of the Yud Gimel Midos Shator Nidreshes, we have guidelines. This is not Reform Judaism. We have rules. We have a construct. You can't paskin things the way that you want. I did a bris in a conservative show. The rabbi there wanted to send me a responsa that he wrote in regards to using anesthetics for bris milah. He sent me this thing. It was fascinating, but it was certainly not halachically binding by any stretch. It didn't follow the regular rules of psak. So we have rules, we have guidelines. It's not stam, but Torah lo bashamayim. So that's what the Gemara is bothered by. So it says the Gemara, continuing halfway down, Ilema de islay, or if in fact the fish has or, either lesle or if it doesn't have fish, take a look at the fish and figure it out. Hachazinan de islay, or we can see that it has a leathery type of skin. The Odin, furthermore, Hatnan, we learned in regards to Ohel Hames, in regards to Tuma status, Od Hatnan, we learned about fish, Atzamos Hadag, and next word, Ve'oro, and its skin, its leathery skin, Matzilin Ve'ohel Hames, Rashi Dibur Hamaschel V'Hatnan, again about a quarter of the way down, indicates Lefisha in Makabel and Tuma, that fish are not Makabel Tuma. These elements of the fish are not Makabel Tuma, but nevertheless, what do we see? We see that there is the leathery skin of the fish. So if what you're asking me is whether or not there is skin of the fish that can be used as like a leathery type of material, yes, the answer is yes, we can do that. I don't need any help for that. So then if that's the case, so then what would Eliyahu be doing in the first place? He's going to let us know if the smell is going to go away. So here the Rishonim take two divergent paths. Some of the Rishonim take the path of whether or not fish down the road will stop smelling. But again, like I don't need Eliyahu to tell me that. I can figure that out on my own. Just take a fish and skin it and take the skin and leave it out and see if it smells over time. Why do I need Eliyahu Navi to tell me the answer to that? So that's why the Chadushi Haran here writes that we're not talking about zuhama of anything in the physical nature. What Eliyahu Navi is coming to teach us in regards to writing parchment on the skin of fish is whether or not there's a hashkafic issue, a ruchni aspect to the zuhama that could be a part of the skin. 2 dots halfway down, a very interesting story. Shmuel v'Karna, Shmuel and a person whose name was Karna. Havu Yasve Aguda Denar Malka. They were sitting at the edge of an ocean, of a body of water named Malka. Chazinhu Lamaya de Kadalu v'Achire. They saw that the water was getting all stirred up. Amar le Shmuel Karna. Shmuel said to Karna, I know what's going on. What's going on? He said, Rabba, there's a great person coming from Eretz Yisrael to here. Shmuel lived in Bavel. His stomach is bothering him. The Kadalu Maya, and the reason why the waters are getting all stirred up, is to make sure that he can go to the bathroom in a modest way and no one will really be able to see what's going on. It'll just be a more modest way. So then Shmuel said to Karna, Zio, Tahile Akankane, go check what's in his head. Meaning, go quiz him and make sure that we have the right person here. The Gemara is a little bit bothered by this because if he's such a Gavra Rabbah, then why did Shmuel want to test him? Okay, fine. Azal, so then Karna went, Ashkeche the Rav, and he found Rav. And Rav's stomach was taka bothering him. Shmuel was right. Rav had a terrible stomachache. Amar Lei, Karna said to Rav, I'm going to grill you. Minayin shein kosvin tefillin ela al gabe or behema tehora. How do we know that when one writes tefillin, it has to only be on the skin of an animal who is generally speaking tahor, not a camel, but rather a cow? Amar Lei dechsiv l'man tiyeh Toras Hashem beficha, like the pasuk says that so that there should be Toras Hashem should be beficha in your mouth, and the drasha is second of the wider lines is mina mutar beficha, that which is allowed to be put in your mouth, and that's only tahor animals. Minayin ledam shu edom. How do we know that blood is red? What a weird question. We know the blood is red because every time we scrape our knee, we know the blood is red. The Gemara is asking something different in regards to paskening maros, in regards to things that we learned in Hilchos Nida and Maseches Nida, that there are 5 shades of red that are considered problematic. Typically speaking, nowadays, when a posek will look at a bedika, we typically only paskin based on any shading of red. That's usually how it works out. We're not as much of bikiyim as they were back in the day. Nevertheless, this was the question that Karna posed to Rav. Meanwhile, his stomach is killing him. He needs to go to the bathroom, but he's in the middle of getting the 3rd degree from Karna because Shmuel pushed him to. Shneimar, how do we know that it's red? Vayiru Moav mineged es hamayim adumim kedam. That the water is red like blood. Okay. Minayin lemila shebeosa makom. Who says that bris milah is on the aver? It's a very strange question. Where else should bris milah be? So Rav gives a halachic answer, not a biological answer. Rav says 2/3 of the way down, kufches med aleph, nemar kan orlaso, v'nemar lahalan orlaso, malahalan davar she'ose pri. When we talk about orla by a tree, that's talking about something for payros. Avkan davar she'ose pri. This is the aver that's involved in the mitzvah prurvu. It makes payros, it makes children. So therefore, just like by orla, so too over here. That's how we know that the makom amila is the aver. Says the Gemara. Maybe we should say libo. Maybe we should say that circumcision should be done by a person's heart. Or ema ozno. Maybe we should say that we should cut off a piece of a person's ear. Orla oznam, the orla of their ears, the extraneous parts of their ears. So answers Rav, no. Done in orlaso tama, mi orlaso tama. The words have to be complete, and the only times that the words orlaso are complete is when, in these 2 cases, of orla by a tree and orla by bris milah, and that's how we know that it's something that's davar ha'oseh pri. Vein done in orlaso tama me orlas she'eno tama. We don't make a drasha from the word orlaso to a type of orla, to a usage of the word orla, which isn't the word orlaso. So even it says orlas levavchem or orla oznam, whatever it is, in all of those cases, there we would not make the comparison. And then Rav, as Rashi highlights here, Rav kind of picked up on the fact that he was being grilled by Karna, and he got upset. Amar le, Mashemecha, who are you? Why are you giving me all of these questions here? So he said, Karna, my name is Karna. Amar le, he said to him 6 lines down in the wider lines, Amar le, hey Rava, may it be his will, to tepu klei Karna be'ene. You should grow a horn in between your eyes. Yikes, not a good bracha to get from one of the Gedolei Hador. So finally, after this questioning session between Karna and Rav, Aile Shmuel Abese, Rav was welcomed into Shmuel's home. Now Shmuel knew that he had a stomachache, and Shmuel was going to help him solve that problem with a specific collection of foods. However, he did not inform Rav what he was doing, and Shmuel got penalized accordingly. Let's see what happened when Shmuel embraced Rav and welcomed him into his home. Ochle Nahama de Sare, he gave him barley bread, the Chasa de Harsana, fish in brine, the Ashke Shechra, and he gave him some beer, below Achva lebesakise, and he didn't show him where the outhouse was. So then, Kihechi de Lishtalshel, so that his stomach would get fixed and he would be able to clean himself out, clean out the bowels in a meaningful way, so that he'd feel better. But because Rab didn't know what was going on, light Rab, he gave him a curse. Amar mandim itzara lo look me labini, lo look me lebinoi bini. You who are making things difficult for me, you should not have any boys. And it turned out that Shmuel did not have any boys. We should always make sure to be careful around Talmidei Chachamim. First of all, to never speak ill of them, Pashat. But if it's not good if a Talmid Chacham says something negative to one of us, that would be a very bad thing. We should always maintain the highest levels of respect. And in fact, this discussion, yes,
it's the third time. There's 3 times in the Gemara that says that he made some people angry at him. He got cursed at.
Shmuel.
Rav.
Oh, that Rav cursed people 3 times. All right, we got twice in this Gemara. Okay,
Shmuel,
so the Gemara here continues. What's that?
Maybe it was Shmuel. One of the two. He got cursed.
Okay. Yeah, not good to get cursed by a Talmid Chacham. We're 3/4 of the way down, maybe a little bit more at the 2 dots. And we spoke about already the drasha of how we know that one should do the bris milah in the makom ha'ever as opposed to other parts of the body. And the Gemara here presents that it's actually a machlokas tanaim, kitanai. Minayin l'milah shebe'osa makom. How do we know that bris milah is by the aver? Ne'emar kan or laso, v'ne'emar lahalan or laso. A drasha we saw already. Lahalan davar ha'osepri, just like by the orla tree. It's something that makes peiros. We don't say it by a sycamore tree. We don't say it by a maple tree. We only say it by fruit trees. Afkan davar she'osepri. So too by on the body. This is the part of the body that helps to fulfill the mitzvah of pruravut. Divi Rabbi Yoshia. Rav Nasan Omer Eino Tzarech. I'm sorry, you do not need a Gzeira Shabbat to figure this out. Why? Because Harehu Omer ve'arel zachar asher lo yimol es besar or laso. Ve'arel zachar, an uncircumcised man asher lo yimal es besar or laso, who that person, and the pasuk continues v'nichrasa, that he's going to get a chiyuv kares. There's a discussion machlokas between the Rambam and the Ravid, in regards to what the nature of the Isser Kares is. Is it every day, or is it only if one dies without ever having had a bris? Machlokas Rishonim. Just halacha l'maisa, this came up this week. There's a family that called and said, I have a bris on Shabbos. Can you please come to the bris? I confirmed that it was a natural bris, not a C-section, and the baby was born on Shabbos mamash, so the bris really fell out on Shabbos. The walk is way too far. It's 10, 11 miles. I can't sleep out every time there's a Shabbos bris. So I called Rabbi first and asked this Shaila, and he said, if you have any sense that they won't use someone else that is from, then you should just push off the bris. So that's what we did. But if that's the case, what about the chiyuv kares? The kid doesn't have the chiyuv kares right now, but his father has a mitzvah deraisa to perform the bris on his child. So these are real shilas in halacha that require big shoulders to paskin on. But this is lamaisa. Anyways, this second shita, Rav Nasan says we don't need that pasuk because we have this pasuk that speaks about kares. Makom shenikar bein zachrus lenakvus. It's when you see that there's this is the difference in anatomies. It's the difference in genitalia. So that's how we know where it is. I don't need a drasha. I don't need a or lasso and or lasso. I know it's obvious. This is how we identify that someone is a male, and therefore that's where the makom habris is. Last of the short line, Tanu Rabbanon. Kosman tefillin al gabe or behema ta'ora. This is going to be a longer brisa that will take us pretty much to the Mishnah all the way. Yeah, take us to the Mishnah, and very inclusive here in regards to what we are allowed to write parshios of tefillin on. So kosman tefillin al gabe or behema tahora. Any animal that's tahor, we are allowed to write tefillin on. Ve'al gabe or chaya tahora. Not only larger animals but smaller ones too. Ve'al gabe or nevelos utrefos. As long as the animal be'etzem is tahor, but maybe the shechita was bad, or it has one of the many forms of trefos that we'll learn about when we get to chulin and other masechtas, it's still kosher for tefillin. It's just mutar shebeticha, an animal that in theory you could eat. V'nichrachos, the parshios are going to be wrapped b'sa'aron in the hairs of all those animals. V'nisrafos, and the batim are stitched b'gidim. And they are stitched with these sinews, and that's what we have in ours as well, that you can see them. They're stitched with these types of thread that are made from sinew. And this is V'halacha l'Moshe Misinai, first of the longest lines, She'at tefillin nichrachos b'sa'aron v'nisparos b'gidim. Aval, however, ein kosven, we are not allowed to write tefillin on the parshios of lo al gabe or behema tmeya, lo al gabe or chaya tmeya. We're not allowed to write on large animals that are tamei. Let's call it a camel, or a smaller animal that is tamei, whatever that would be, or a hyrax, whatever it is. Ve'eino tzarech lomar. Of course, I don't need to tell you gabe or nevela v'trefa shalahan. Obviously, on the lesser kosher versions of those non-kosher animals, the ones that were shechted improperly, of course, those are going to be problematic. You cannot use the hairs of a non-kosher animal to wrap the parshios. And as well, you cannot stitch your tefillin clothes with sinews, with threads made of sinews of non-kosher animals. The zo, and in fact, she'ela zo by tusi echad, she'ela sha'al by tusi echad es Rabbi Yehoshua Hagarsi. This question was posed to Rabbi Yehoshua Hagarsi from a baitus, from someone who had a little bit of a different hashkafa than we did. How do we know that one is not allowed to write tefillin on the parchment of an animal that is otherwise not kosher? You can only write the parchment on that which is an animal that's otherwise kosher. Says the Gemara, we said that even in regards to animals that are tahoros, that you're allowed to write it on an animal that be'etzem is tahor, but you can't eat it because it's a nevela or a treifa. So that's not why are we allowed to do that? It's not mutar b'ficha. You're not allowed to eat a nevela or a treifa. So why is it that, granted, it's from a behemoth tahora, it's from a cow, but if it's a nevela or treifa, we shouldn't be allowed to write tefillin on that, the parshios on that piece of the animal, on that animal that's in a veil or treifa. Says the Gemara, Amar Le, 3 lines from the bottom, allow me to give you an example of what we're talking about. The Shnei Bnei Adam, to 2 men, Shenitzchai v'hariga, lemalchus. 2 people are obligated to be killed. Echad hargo melech, one is killed by the king himself. Echad hargo ispaklitor, one was killed by a soldier, by an officer. Eizu mehen meshubach. Who's better?
Executioner.
So the answer is Have Omer Zesha Hargo Melech. The one that the king killed, that person is considered more chashuv. Namely, an animal that is tahor and it was killed. It's the right kind of animal. It was killed properly. It's a kosher animal, but killed improperly. So then there we would say that's like the melech killing the better person. So that's the comparison that's made here. A little bit of a strange comparison, but one that's made nevertheless. Elamayata, according to your comparison, yochelu, we should be able to eat the animal that was killed by the melech. Why can't we eat the animal that's in a veler and treifa? Says Gemara, because Amar Le Torah, last line, Amar Lo Sochlu Kol Nevela. The pasuk says you're not allowed to. You're going to say that we should be eating a treifa. I'm just giving you a mashal. Don't take it too far. It's always the challenge of mashals is to take them too far. Amar Le Kalus, I'm going to praise you. The second to last Rashi, Meshubach Tamzeh, you're giving a very good reason. Okay, let's continue. We still have a ways to go. A little bit of a longer daf tonight. The Mishnah begins on the bottom of Kufches Mid Aleph, last line. Einos and Hilmi b'Shabbos, you're not allowed to make very strong salt water on Shabbos. Turning to the top of the next page, Aval, Osehu es mehamelach, you are allowed to make some degree of salt water, v'tovel bahen pito, to dip your bread into v'nosen l'soch tavshil, and to pour onto foods to make them more flavorful. Amar Rav Yossi, what are you talking about? V'halohu hilmi ben meruba ben muad. Why is it that you're allowing the smaller amounts, or why is it that you're not allowing the larger amounts? Either salt water is problematic or salt water is not problematic. Who cares in what ratio you make them? What's the difference? And if we were to pause here, we actually don't know if Rav Yossi is being machmir or being mekel. The Gemara is going to ask that question, but it's unclear from here. He's just saying, what's the difference between the two? The Eluhain me melach hamutarin. This is one line that's used as an inference to answer the question, what is considered to be an appropriate form of making salt on Shabbos, where you are nosein shemen lechatchila, you put an oil first, letoch mayim, into water, letoch melach, but then you don't put together the water and the salt first. If the oil is in that mixture first, then that's permissible to use. Says the Gemara, Maika Amar. What does Maika Amar mean? Take a look at Rashi, fifth line, Maika Amar. My hilmi, umay me melach. What are these two distinctions that the Tanakama made? One that's aser and one that's mutter. This is pshat enos and me melach meruben. You can't make a large amount. Abal osehu me melach muatin. You are allowed to make a small amount. Amar Rav Yossi, it said in our Mishnah, quote, V'halohu hilmi ben meruben ben muatin. The Gemara asks on the sheet of Rav Yossi, I don't understand. Rav Yossi, le'asor o lahatir. Rav Yossi's argument was that what is the distinction that you're making between the large amount of salt water and the small amount? There's all the same thing, it's salt water. Even scientifically, there's only so much liquid. There's only so much salt that can be absorbed by liquid, even hot versus cold. Normally when a liquid's hot, it can absorb more. That's not true by salt. It absorbs the same exact amount of solute and solvent, and you can't change it. So what? Who cares what the rate? Who cares how much water there is? That's Rabbi Yossi's question. So, but we didn't know if he was asking, is it less or lahater? Was he being makil against the Tanakama, or was he being machmir? Says the Gemara 6 lines down. Rabbi Yehuda lahater. It must be that he's making it that it's permissible. Vidlok tani Rabbi Yossi oser, because Rabbi Yossi in the Mishnah doesn't say that it's aser. It must be that it's mutter. Amar le Rabba, no. And if you look at the next line of the Mishnah, it says, and these are the forms that are mutter. What does that imply about the previous line? That the previous line must be that it was the type of salt water that's asur. So therefore, Rabbi Yossi seems to argue with the Tanakama, Michlad, Rabbi Yossi le'asur. Amar Rabba le'asur, v'chenamar Rabbi Yochanan le'asur. Everybody pivots now, and they now hold that Rabbi Yossi was of the opinion that he argued with the Tanakama, and that any volume of salt water is problematic to make on Shabbos. Tanya Namihachi Abraisa, to support this idea. In Osin Melech Meruben Laseis Latoch Kivsham Shebetoch Gistera. They used to use smaller, partially cracked shards of pottery. That's what a gistra is. We saw the language actually many blot ago that it's considered a shard, a small broken kli of to be used for salt water. Aval Osahu Me Melach Mu'atin ve'ochel bohen pitov and osim toch tavshel. But you are allowed to make some salt water that would be considered permissible. Amar Rabbi Yossi, and again the Bryce is now showing the Mari Makom for Rabbi Yossi. The volume changes everything. Yomru, what you should say, malacha maruba asura, malacha muetas mutaris, doesn't make any sense. Ella elu ve'elu asurin hein. Really, everything is going to be forbidden. That is what's not allowed. Ve'elu hein me melacha mutarin. What is allowed to be done with salt water? No sein shemanu melach. Like our Mishnah concluded that it's appropriate to make salt water when you don't put the water and salt together first, but that oil is one of the initial ingredients. 1/3 of the way down at the 2 dots, Azin, Tzanon, Ve'esrog, Simen, Tani, Rabbi Yehuda bar Chaviva. This is what he taught. We're going to learn a number of statements by Rabbi Yehuda bar Chaviva. Ein osin mei melach azin. One is not allowed to make very strong salt water. My may melach azin. What's considered strong salt water? Rabbi Rav Yosef Barabba de Amri Tarbayu Kol Shabetza Tzafa Behen. Anything that has an amount of salt in it, a concentration of salt in it that makes an egg buoyant to the point that the egg floats, that is considered to be too strong. The kama, what's the ratio? Answers the Gemara. Amar Abaye Trei Tilse Milcha V'Tilse Maya. 2/3 salt, 1/3 water. If you took by volume that amount, most of the salt would not absorb. I don't remember the exact number. I think it's like 35 grams of salt per 100 milliliters of water, something like that. But this volume and ratio is not scientifically possible. I don't know if it's volume or weight, whatever it may be. The mai avdile. What was this liquid made for? This liquid that would have otherwise been forbidden. Amar Rabbi Abba Lemoriasa. It was made to be a type of dip, a very, very strong flavored dip. It was made to be a little bit of a dip. That was statement number 1. Statement number 2. Tani Rabbi Yehuda bar Chaviva. The second statement from Rabbi Yehuda bar Chaviva in Molchan Tzanon Uveitz B'Shabbos. You're not allowed to salt radishes or eggs on Shabbos. Rav Chizkiya Mishmei de'Abai Amar Tzanon Aser Beitz Muteris. Really, he argues and says you're not allowed to do the radish. You're not allowed to salt a radish, but you are allowed to salt an egg. Amar of Nachman Mereish Havamalchana Pugla. I used to salt radishes all the times on Shabbos. Amina, I used to say in my own svara, Afsude kam afsida. I'm actually making it worse. I'm making it even worse. Amar Shmuel Pugla Chorfi Male. Because Shmuel used to say that radishes that were raw, that didn't have salt on them, those were really the ones that were better. So I prefer it not that way. So when I salted it, I thought it was mutter because I was the odd man out. Because really radishes should be eaten untreated from salt. Kevan de Shamana. Once I heard what Ula said, and he said that in Eretz Yisrael, they're salting mounds and mounds of radishes all the time. So then I changed my game. I no longer salted radishes, but I did dip them into a pre-made liquid. But I did dip the liquid. I did dip the radishes into liquid, into a dip of some kind like salt water. When it comes to Pesach, it is much preferred to make the salt water before Pesach to avoid all of these issues. Ledina, one is allowed to add some salt to water on Pesach in order to make the salt water if they forgot to do so beforehand. Halfway down, third statement of Rabbi Yehuda bar Chaviva. Tani Rabbi Yehuda bar Chaviva, esrog tznon besa, an esrog, a radish, and an egg. Ilmale klipasan achitzona einan yotzin mibnei ayin leolam. Without their immediate layer that's around them, they would never leave the body. The Mefarshim are very bothered by this. We eat eggs all the time. What does that mean without the layer around them? So a little difficult to understand this Gemara in practical terms. Some explain that it means that the egg doesn't stay in your body. Okay, fine. Whatever the case may be, that was a statement that he made about an esrog and radish, and that the peel is what saved them to allow them to exit the body. Kiyasa Ravdimi Amar Me Olam. Sorry, new sugya here. A little bit of a change of gears here. Kiyasa Ravdimi taught the following line: Amar Me Olam Lo Tava Gavra B'Yama D'Sdom. Nobody ever drowned in the waters of Sodom. In the Dead Sea, the salt concentration is so significant that everyone's buoyant and everything is buoyant. All bugs die, no human being can drown there. Amar Rav Yosef, Afucha Stom v'Afucha Mila. You've left me with some upside down language here. How so? Because Gavrahu Delo Tava, you're right that no human being has ever drowned. But Kshura Tava, you've left me with the implication that a piece of wood can drown. Says the Gemara, that's not possible. Amar Le'abai Lomi Boya Kamar. I'm teaching you two parts of the same din. Lomi baya kshura. I don't need to tell you about a piece of wood. Wood floats in all of the waters of the world. A piece of wood will never drown. That's for sure. But even a human being who, typically speaking, could drown in any water without this concentration of salt, he would not be able to drown in such water. What is so unique about this din? Why did you bother teaching me this in the first place? Says the Gemara, Rabin was following Rabbi Yirmiyah right next to the waters, right next to the bank of waters of Sodom. Amar Le, he said to his Rebbe, Mahu lemimshe mahane mai b'Shabbos. Are we allowed to wash our hands in this water on Shabbos? Amar Le shaper dami, it's permissible. And then he said, Mahu lemeimetzu lemiftach. What if we use this salt water as a healing tool to put it in our eyes? The meimetzu lemiftach, to blink our eyes and to kind of let it get deep into our eyes to help us heal a wound in our eyes. Amar Le zo lo shamati. I didn't hear about this din specifically, but kiyotze ba shamati. I heard about a similar din. Amar of Zera Zimnin Amar la Mishmei de Rav Masna v'Zimnin Amar la Mishmei de Mar Ukva. I'm not sure who exactly he heard it from, either from Rav Masna. Rav Zera heard it either from Rav Masna or from Mar Ukva. The Tarvaihu Mishmei de Avuha de Shmuel, and they both, whoever they are, heard it from Shmuel's father. This is going to be important. Pay attention to Avuha de Shmuel v'Levi. These were the two people who we're talking about. It's Avuha de Shmuel v'Levi. Amrin Chad v'Levi Amrin. It was said in their names. Chad Amar Yain b'Socha Ha'ayin Aser. Wine was sometimes used as a salve to make the eyes heal. Had a little bit of alcohol in it, and maybe could kill some bacteria, whatever they were doing. Yain b'socha ayin asher. You can't put wine in your eyes on Shabbos, but al gav ha'ayin mutter. But you can put it above your eye and let the wine drip in. The Chad Amar, and another one of these two, again, Avud, Shmuel, and Levi, we don't know who said what. The other one said rok tafel. This is saliva that Rashi highlights. It's saliva that from when you wake up in the morning, but you've never eaten anything yet that day. That's the saliva we're talking about. It had some healing powers, apparently. Afilu al gav ha'ayin, even above your eye, would not be permissible to use. It says the Gemara, Tistaim, it makes sense to me that of these two people, of Avua de Shmuel and Levi, the Avua de Shmuel, the father of Shmuel, was the one who said, Hu de Amar, Yain v'socha ayin aser, al gav ha'ayin mutter. It's presumed that the Avua de Shmuel was the one who said that you can put wine above the eye and let it drip into the eye. Why? Because Mida Amar Shmuel, because Avua de Shmuel's son, Shmuel, he said, Shora Adam Pito B'yayin v'nosno al gav ayin v'Shabbos. It seems to be that he's teaching the same exact thing. You can take bread, stick it in the wine, and then put it on top of your eye and let it drip down into your eye. To Shamale Miman. Who do you think he heard it from? His father. He heard it from Lav de Shmiele Me'avu. He didn't hear it from his father. Says the Gemara, well, wait a minute. If that's true, Ulatame, Chada Amar Shmuel, we have another din of Shmuel about Rok Tafel. Remember, we said that one statement was made by Avua de Shmuel, one statement was made by Levi. But now it seems like Levi said nothing, because the statement of Rok, the second statement, is that Rok Tafel Afilu al Gabe Ha'ayin Aser, the Shmiele Miman, Ilema de Shmiele Me'avuha. If in fact Shmuel heard this din about Rok Tafel from his father, then Ela Levi v'lo Chada Amar. Then Levi hasn't said anything, but that was a tradition that Reb Zera said. Reb Zera said that we learned one of these statements about the wine above the eye from Avua de Shmuel, and then by definition the other one had to be from Levi. So if you say that everything is from Shmuel, then what was Rav Zera's tradition that he was trying to teach? It can't be right that it's one statement in the name of Avua de Shmuel and one statement in the name of Levi. Says the Gemara, Elachad Shmiel me Avua, the first one he heard from his father, the one about the wine above the eye, the Chada, and the one in regards to the Rok Tafel, in regards to the saliva, that he heard from Levi. V'lo yadinan, Hi me Avua, hi me Levi. Sorry, I attributed one to each person. The Gemara says we don't know who said which one. Between the two lines of being allowed to put wine above the eye to drip in, and the Rok Tafel to put above the eye to drip in, we don't know who said what, whether or not Reb Zera heard it from Avua de Shmuel, or if you heard it from Levi. Just, a little bit more. Let's get to the bottom of the page. Amar Marukva, Amar Shmuel. Shora Adam Kilor Me'erev Shabbos, one's allowed to soak something into Kilor, and this was an eye medication. V'nosen al gav ein of the Shabbos, ve'en choshesh, you could put it on your eyes, no problem at all. Bar Levoi have a koi kame de Marukva. There was a person whose name was Bar Levoi who was next to Marukva. Chaz yada have a ma'itzu pasach. He was squinting and opening his eyes. He made it look like he was putting in this medication on his eyes. Amar le kule hai vada lo shara mar Shmuel. You're taking it too far. You're not allowed to make it look explicit. Remember, we said you put it above your eye. You're taking it a little bit too far. You can't keep squinting like that. Shalach le Rav Yanai le Marukva lishtar lan mar mehanach kul yarin kilorin de mar Shmuel. Rav Yanai said to Marukva, can you please send me some of that medication? It's the Amazon of old. Please send me some of that medication. I'd love to have Shalach. He sent it to him. Shadurim Shadarnalach, and in there he wrote him a little letter. I'm going to send it to you. Just so that you don't say that I'm a cheapskate. But I do want you to know, Elahachi Amar Shmuel, Tovas Tipas Tzinon Shachris Rechitzas Yadayim Braglaim Bechamen. You're better off. You're better off with tipas tzinon shachris, of using some cold water in your eyes in the morning, rechitzas yadayim v'raglayim bechamen, and washing your hands and feet bechamen arbis at night. Mikol kilorin sheba'olam. A much better method of keeping your eyes clean is that method of cold water in the morning and washing your hands and feet at night. And then the last brisa that just supports this idea, Tanya Nami Hachi, the brisa brings a raya to this idea. Amar Rabbi Muna Mishum Rabbi Yehuda Tovatipas Tznon Shachris Rechitzas Yadayim Raglayim Arvis Mikol Kilorn Sheba'olam, that it's better for one to put cold in their eyes in the morning and wash their hands and feet with warm in the evening, and that would be better than all of the kilor and all of the eye medication in the world. We're going to stop here. I just pushed a little further because if you look at the Amud Beis tomorrow, you'll also see that it's significant. So I didn't want to leave over too much on this Amud here. So Mirza Hashem will pick up tomorrow night with Daf Kuf Tes. Wishing you all a beautiful night.